A couple days ago, I shared my by far best Starfield spaceship build yet, a Class C called the 04 Ravager. With its high maneuverability, top speed and lethal weapon systems, this compact ship was designed to kill, destroy or board anything you come across. If you ask me, it not only works good, but it also looks good, which took me a lot of time to achieve. My build guide already received a lot of love from you guys, so thank you. In today's guide though, I want to make this build even more accessible to the public, with a super simple guide to recycle another ship, which I'm going to show you in this video, to get a budget variant of the 04 Ravager, which is going to cost you little over 5,000 credits. You can even make money in return if you go with the bare minimum steps. But trust me, this ship has everything you need, all the essential habs for crafting purposes and maximum crew size to your precious bed for XP boost. So yeah, what are we waiting for? Let's start building. I quickly want to ask you guys a favor. If you enjoy my content, it would mean the world to me if you can take 1 second of your time to hit that like button and share your thoughts about this build during a video. That would be amazing, as I've easily spent 20 to 30 hours on this specific ship design, make the build as efficient as possible. My max level build and plenty other guides can be found on the channel, while this one is specifically made for beginners in Starfield who want to have a budget killer spaceship, so let's go. Alright, so here we have her, the 04 Ravager. A pretty small yet deadly spaceship. It has everything you need inside, all the essential habs, a bed to have that rested bonus, maximum crew size, and so much more. I already did a little quick tour on my previous video, but let's quickly check it out once again. Okay, I just accidentally entered the cockpit, but I already think that this is a beautiful one of Stroud Eklund. Gives you plenty of room for all your crew members, and I don't know, I think it's just the best looking cockpit in the game, which is why I use it for my other builds as well. It also has very easy access to the cargo hold right here, the captain's locker on the other side, and this already brings you to the exit or entrance of the spaceship. So yeah, this beautiful HopeTech landing bay. Anyways, if you enter it, instant access to the cockpit, while if we go to the left right here, this already brings us to the crafting wing, where you will have your weapons and spacesuit workbench, as well as the industrial workbench very close to each other. If we go a little bit more to the side right here, we've got a beautiful window with, of course, the rest of the science lab, pharmaceutical lab, research lab, and another window right here. So that's already half of the spaceship. We've got a symmetrical layout on the other side after we've passed this little bridge. This is where you will find your control station, which maximizes the crew size to 8 for this build. This docking bay is for starport access and boarding purposes, while in the final wing right here, we have our beautiful bed for that rested bonus and of course more place for your beloved crew members. Long story short, everything you need for your space adventures in Starfield. Trust me, you will never need another spaceship. While it's always nice to discover some new builds, right? Anyways, for the spaceship rookies out there, or new people to the channel in general, people who aren't familiar yet with the building, it's essential that you upgrade your piloting rank to the maximum. Unlock the ability to pilot Class C spaceships, or basically the best ones in the game. To make this build as good as possible, you're gonna need Class C parts as well. I say this in every build video I make, but I also recommend you to rank up your starship design to 4 as quick as possible, as the higher the rank right here, the more space parts you have at your disposal as well. Last but not least, it's very important to know that your character level also heavily impacts the available parts from the ship's technician. If you are, let's say, 20, you're gonna have only a fraction of the parts which I have available. Design-wise, it's not a big deal because you can make the ship look exactly the same, while it's gonna be a little bit less powerful performance-wise. So yeah, let's move on to the build. I quickly want to show you guys a spaceship, which is going to make this build very budget friendly. So this is the 04 Ravager, as you can see. If we just cycle between my spaceships, this is one which I've previously built, the 04 Vengeance, for a couple 100,000 credits, while this one already has a budget version as well. For a little over 30,000 credits, this spaceship can be yours. But if you get your hands on something like the Varun Prophecy, I got a level 2 right here from a previous video, my Starship Adventures basically, which you can find in the top right of the screen. screen, but also a Varun Prophecy 1, which is very accessible, easy to pick up both during space combat and when it lands on a planet. This is the spaceship which we're going to use today. We're going to recycle it and make a 04 Ravager out of it. You can see that many parts are similar to this one. So yeah, I can't wait to show you guys the transformation from this to this. Alright, so let's get building. The first thing we're gonna do is strip this thing to only a fraction what we need for the build. It's very important that you get rid of some cosmetics which we will never use, while you can keep some temporary items like the cockpit. They can be pretty expensive, especially the weapon systems, if you want to replace them with something different. So the most valuable parts should always be safeguarded. Also placing my shield right here. The reactor, which is very important, as the reactor of a spaceship basically generates the power, while you also want to have that grav drive to make high jumps. You can tell that both are class C, which are only accessible if you have that piloting rank 4. It's amazing that if you get your hands on one of these spaceships, you can just instantly salvage those. While you can only sell the ship for like 20 to 30k, only the grav drive right here already cost 20,000. Right here, you can see that the Pinch reactor requires a piloting of rank 4. If you haven't even unlocked that, well, you basically get this part for free. You can use it for the build, which is pretty amazing. The helium tanks right here are ones which I kind of want to get rid of because they are way too big. While we're gonna salvage all the engines right here. All the cells, we're gonna put them right there. Also want to take that Stroud engine mount because that makes our build look beautiful. You know what? Let's temporarily save those Taio spines as well. Even more engine mounts right here. And this also reveals our Galleon S204 cargo hold. Also pretty valuable stuff. Costs almost 10,000 if you have to purchase it yourself. Take all the landing gear. Also the 2x1 habs. Place those on the sides. In total, we got like 4 equipment plates from this build. We're gonna need 2 more, I think. Now, though, we are pretty much done. You can temporarily use the Stability Pro landing bay right here, while I'm gonna get rid of it right away. The final thing that's left is the Slim Docker bottom, which isn't part of my original build, while you can recycle this one. If you combine that with a companionway or a storeroom, you can achieve practically the same. Anyways, now that we've sorted all the parts, we already have almost 10,000 credits plus. So that means a lot of playing budget, let's say, for free, which is amazing. Let's do a quick summary of everything we've salvaged. All the landing gear, basically, all the engines, the reactor, the grav drive, these spines, also the Stroud Eklund mounts top and bottom. We also have the Stroud Cap A top and bottom, 4 different pieces, 2 Stroud Cap Bs for the rear, basically, a cockpit which we can temporarily use, 2 braking engines, 4 weapon systems, 2 portholes, then 4 weapon equipment plates, the shield, a Docker bottom, computer core, infirmary, and a couple more 1x1 parts. So there you have it. So the first thing we're going to do today is focus on the landing gear. As I know, especially if you're new to building, this can be a tough cookie to break. Many people already complimented me on my builds that they are very easy to follow as I start from the bottom and end in the top. I personally think this is also the easiest way to work, as then you will not make any mistakes. Anyways, we've got 2 of these elements right next to each other. Then you want to take one of those 2x1 habs. You're going to place it right there, as now we're going to place another AccuLander on the side. You can switch them, by the way, if you do the flip. I like to make him look exactly like so. Then we're going to place something in between. We're going to place another one on the side. We're going to take another of those 2x1 habs, and then we can place 2 more like so. So what you want to do right now is get rid of the one in the middle, and we're going to quickly move those habs away. So this is basically what you have. Snapped right onto the right position. We've got 1 landing gear starboard, 2 right here, 1 port, and 2 more ports right there. Exactly like so. Then you want to take your Galleon S204 cargo hold. We have 2 of those. You actually only need 1, but just keep it for the sake of, I don't know, maybe you want to upgrade your cargo hold at the end of the build. So we have one on this side, very important, to the right. Well, now we're going to place one of those 1x1 habs. I think a storeroom is going to be fine. We're going to place it right there. And then we can take our slim docker bottom and place it right underneath this thing. If you flip these things, you can make them face top or bottom, while you want to place it exactly right there, which already allows us to enter enemy spaceships or starports. Anyways, now we have that Stroud storeroom combined with a slim docker, which basically saves you over 1000 credits with the 110 DP docker top. So you're saving budget right here. Again, this is the Atlantis ship technician where you can get your hands on it. Well, right now we're going to require a couple parts which unfortunately aren't available at this technician. The cockpit as well as the landing bay. I'm going to temporarily use the 120 LD, which is going to work for this build just fine. We can always switch it later, but what you want to do to snap this one in position is take out one 1x1 hab, place it right in between, right there. Go for a 2x1 hab, place it on top, get rid of this one, and then this one should perfectly fit right underneath it. Look at that. Now we can remove this, and the next thing you want to do is place a companionway right on top of it. Right there, because now we're going to place a couple more habs. This one says computer core. So in other words, what you can do is get rid of it, while I'm gonna temporarily use it because we have to visit another ship's technician afterwards. Same counts for the infirmary. I'm gonna place it right here. Unfortunately, we cannot duplicate this as it's a Stroud Eklund part not available at this ship's technician. So what we're gonna do is just attach another hab onto this, a 2x1 temporary, really doesn't matter which one it is, and get another one in place right here. So now you have 2x1, 2x1, 1x1, 2x1, 2x1. And it really doesn't matter which ones they are, as long as you have this exact layout visually. The next thing you want to do is turn the spaceship around. I might do the build slightly different in comparison with how I normally do it, but we're going to place two Stratcap Bs right behind those habs. So one on this side and one on that side, while I'm also going to place the grav drive right behind that 1x1 hab. Exactly right there. And place the reactor exactly like so. Now you basically have essential parts in place. We can proceed with placing the engines, which you're going to do just like that, around the reactor and grav drive. Next thing you want to do is get those Stroud engine mounts in place as well. We're going to place one right there, another one right there. You also want to select them and then press flip so you can get the central piece. So it doesn't look like one that's facing towards the side, but you want to have it look exactly like so. Then what we're going to do is take those Stroud braking engines, place one right in front of that, another one, bam. Also going to take those Stratcap A's, place one right here, another one right there. So a quick summary of what we have right now. It looks a little bit like a sledge, but visually, this is something you can achieve at basically any level. So the next thing you want to do, I think I accidentally deleted one of these, the Cowling 1LST, but you want to place it right there, because that will be your base to placing another of those Stroud caps. Unfortunately, we will have to do it without right now, so I'm just going to place a storeroom one by one. Again, we're going to visit another ship's technician to finalize the build. So bam, there we have it. If you want, you can squeeze the cargo hold on top of this, for example, which I don't think looks nice visually, but that's an option. Right now, instead, I'm going to just delete it, place this temporary part right there. I'm also going to start placing some portholes. So we've got one we're just going to place right here, duplicate that, place another one, and move on to the third. Duplicate. You basically do that by pressing Options, Control, and then you can undo, redo, duplicate. Duplicate makes it super easy. And yeah, we are almost done already. The final thing we need to do is get our cockpit, weapon systems, and shield in place, which we're going to give a temporary location on the ship. So I'm going to place the cockpit right there. You can even rock this look if you like to, but we're going to make it much better looking, guys. Trust me. We're also going to place our weapon plate right there. So first weapon plate, second weapon plate, third weapon plate, and the fourth we're going to place right there. We only have 4 weapon systems, so this is perfect. Let's start with the Atlatl gun. I'm going to place that in the back. Same counts for the Dragon Pulse laser. Flips. And also the Alpha beams. There we go. almost everything in place. You can basically get rid of the Stroud engine mounts right here. Same counts for the Tayo spines. And now we only have those companionways left, which you could temporarily place right here. But trust me, you don't need any of this. Last but not least, we have our Assurance SG shield generator. Place it right there. So now that we've cleaned up everything, this is the build. Still far from finished, but already the first phase. Right now, we're going to move on to placing some structural components as well. So move on to structural is search for the Nova wing. I'm going to place a port right there. Control V or paste on the other side. So we basically have this nice symmetrical look. Right now, you also want to place some helium tanks in the corners. This is hands down the best helium tank money can buy, while it also costs almost 7,000 credits. So if you're still in the early game, I recommend you to focus on something like this. Gives you 50 to 70. I'm just going to place 2 right here. I mean, this is going to be just fine to begin with. So this is the start of the build. The first phase is complete. We still have a couple more upgrades which we can do, like placing suppressors right here with EM damage for boarding purposes. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. I only see one error, which is because we still have this cap floating in the sky. So let's just temporarily place it like so. But there you have it. With a little bit of effort, you even get almost 5,000 credits in return, which is amazing. So now we can accept the build. Instantly renamed it to the 04 Ravager budget. Still looks far from finished, but hey guys, we're getting there. You know what? This is an optional change. I'm gonna quickly get rid of the slim docker bottom. Same counts for the storeroom. And instead, I'm gonna place that 110 DP docker top, or well, bottom actually, which costs us only that. Now the build is even more efficient mass-wise, as this one only costs 1 mass and gives you 3 hull or HP. But the next stop is Parima 3. My hands-down favorite ship technician, Mr. Anderson, can be found right there. Pretty grumpy dude. Well, I definitely recommend you to visit this place, as boy oh boy, the Red Mile is amazing. This place comes with almost all the structural components in the game, plenty of different weapon systems, all the styles you want, like Tayo Astroneering, Hope Tech, Deimos, etc. So what you want to do after leaving your spaceship is enter this building and look on the counter, ship services, as this, ladies and gentlemen, is where you want to be. Lon Anderson, my grumpy fella. So we're going to view and modify our spaceship once again. Second stage of the build. Trust me guys, it's gonna look exactly like this one in a minute. So right now, the first thing we're gonna do is basically get this Stroud cap away. Now we can actually duplicate the Stroud cowling and we can flip it to the other side. Flips, there we go. Now we also want to have 4 of these Stroud caps in the back, facing backwards as well. So we're gonna go to structural. Stroud cap A for top, that's numero uno. Copy, paste, place it right underneath this one right here. There we go. Look at that beauty. Do that 2 more times. 1 right there. So now we have 4 on the sides, make the ship look nice and beautiful. Symmetrical. Very important. I mean, if a ship is not symmetrical, this makes me crazy. But get rid of the Kentucky Bridge cockpit. Now we're going to place another one, which is so much better. The Viking CP100. Look at that. It's an absolute killer cockpit. Then move your Assurance SG1000 either on top of it or you could place it behind. Well, I like to go to structural and go for the Stroud Engine Bracer A. Place it right in between. So you have this nice solid look at the top of the spaceship. Now we've spent 5,000 credits, which basically puts us to 0. We've spent exactly the same as we've earned in the previous building step. So you could basically say that this spaceship is free. This is the exact looks what you get for free. But yeah, it's not exactly like that. We also have to take into account, of course, the registration of the Varun Prophecy. What we're going to do right now is get rid of this landing bay. I don't know. I don't like it. And we're going to place the Hope for landing bay right underneath it. So now we have this much better look. I don't know. It also reminds me a little bit of the TIE fighters in Star Wars. The next thing we want to do, very important, is get the right habs in this build. So we have all the crew size we want, every single workbench for crafting purposes, etc. So we temporarily want to move these pieces away from the build so we can access every single one of them. Get rid of your all-in-one berth right here. Same cards for that one. Just all the 2x1s. So now you have a pretty naked interior. The first hab you want to place, very important, you want to put it exactly right here, is the Hope Tech all-in-one berth 2x1. This one gives you extra companion spots as well as your bed for that precious resting bonus. Then we're going to move on to the next one, which should be the control station, because this one gives you extra crew stations for maximum crew size in your ship. Next up, you want to place a workshop right here. So we're going to move on to that one. There we go. And then last but not least, we also want to have the science lab. So we're going to place that right here. Now we can cover up everything once again. I mean, you could also give it the paint job before, but you can still access the parts if you click on the sides. Very important interior decision right here. I keep the Stroud companionway 1x1 Stroud as is, because we also have a Stroud cockpit. This visually makes it a nice flow from Stroud Eklund to Hope Tech, which both have slightly different interiors, but this one also gives you the biggest interior. Doesn't look claustrophobic, very easy to access every single one of them. So we're gonna cover up everything right here, and voila! Wow, we've just finished the build for what, less than 5,000 credits? That's unbelievable. I mean, we still have a couple things we can upgrade, make this build a lot better. But if you want to be fly ready, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This can already bring you into the skies with some pretty decent stats. While now we're going to move on to adding some extra cargo on the sides right here. Shielded cargo, if you will. One on this side and another one right there. There you go. And I also want to place those suppressors for boarding purposes. I don't know, man. It's just way too good to have the fulminators. These are even super cheap. I mean, look at this. They have the hands down best stats, value versus efficiency. Only 2,450 cost with the maximum commerce rank. So we're going to place 2 of those bad boys. And now we can even place a jammer on the side right here. If you've already unlocked it, this is the hands down most expensive one, while we're just going to go with the budget version right now. So there you have it. 2,000 plus cargo space, 8 max crew size, very nice hull shield damage, 69 mobility, 150 top speed, as well as a 27 light years jump range. One problem though, the ship now has 4 different weapon systems. So yeah, let's get rid of the pulse laser right here. Assign all our weapon systems, and there we go. Wow, look at this. It's almost the same right now with just a couple thousand credits and of course a recycled for room prophecy. But yeah, let's move on to the paint job. Make it look exactly the same as my primary one. For my spaceships paint jobs, I usually go with my brand color, blue, black, and white. While for the 04 Ravager, I wanted to do something different. On most structural parts, I primarily go for black, a little bit of white, and sometimes only for the engines. And for the central hab with the cockpit, I go for a hint of orange, including the shields. I kinda like the black, white, and orange approach on this one. It's minimal, yet aggressive and nice looking. I don't know, in general, it just makes the spaceship look pretty scary, as it should be, because of course it obliterates everything in the skies with some maximum upgrades. While for the budget variant, I think this is gonna be amazing to start off with. So we're gonna accept, enter. A previous budget build I made is the 04 Vengeance right here. We've got the regular 04 Vengeance, then the 04 Ravager, and this is the 04 Ravager budget build. Look at that. It's practically the same, except for, of course, the weapon systems. You can tell that the stat changes are huge, but still, I think it's an amazing one to start off with for your interstellar adventures. If you want to get the best stats out of this fella, just replace all the weapon systems with the Vanguard Obliterator Auto Projector. This one is fairly cheap, while of course if you've only placed 6 of those, it's going to be close to 60,000 credits. Large cut in your budget, but we can do even better. I mean, if we get rid of the grav drive right here, replace it with a top tier one, the Apollo GV200, it's going to cost you another 50,000 credits. Let's also replace the reactor with the sheared flow, which I use on my main, another 50,000 credits, huge cuts in the budget. Get rid of these engines and replace them with top tier ones. So we've got the SA 4110, That's basically this one right here, 10,000 each, while we want to take the SA 4,330, which is a lot better. Now that we're at it, let's also replace the fuel tank, place the best one in the game 2 times on the sides. There we go. And voila, 260,000 credits later, and of course a lot of upgrades, you will have yourself a killer spaceship. While you don't really need this, and you can upgrade accordingly. Really depends on the parts you have at your disposal, your level requirements. But yeah, this can give you an amazing top speed, mobility, 30 light years jump range, nice amount of hull cargo, and so much more. But let's just stick to the budget build, which is already amazing for you guys. The 04 Ravager budget, while if you want to move on to the full version later, just check out my video at the top right of the screen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, your own 04 Ravager budget build. For like 5,000 credits, I think, was the first 2 steps. That's impressive. While of course you want to have a couple upgrades to get the most out of this build, get it into the skies and dominate them while you're at it. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and share your thoughts about the build in the comments down below. Again, you have no idea how much you help out the channel with this, and yeah, I would simply just love to know what you think of it, as I've spent like 20 to 30 hours on this build. Anyways, there's plenty more gameplay and guides on the channel. Be sure to check it out. Right now though, it's 4 AM out. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Peace.